Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night at whatever time you may see this. It is me, Akalia Thomas. This is Perfectly Imperfect Perspective. We are continuing with what we're talking about Nehemiah. It's the Built For It series. And in this portion, what the Holy Spirit gave me was I have a certain order in which I think I should go, but I'm going to be obedient. So we're going to talk about adversity. And also a thing that I haven't been doing because it's really annoying to me. But in order to get the word out and to spread the message of this good news and character building, what God is having me work on with this podcast, this By Faith Ministry, I need you to like, share, and subscribe. So if you like what you're hearing, please hit the like button. Please, if you know it's somebody that could benefit from these teachings, by all means, send it. If you like what you're hearing and you want to continue to hear, subscribe and recommend it to other people. I'll be intentional about remembering to say it, but the truth is, it's annoying to me. So, because I think every video says that, and if you're familiar with YouTube, we all pretty much know what to do, right? Okay, so we're gonna move on into the second part, and we're talk about adversity. So in everything you do, you have to understand that you should know by now. I don't even care if you are having a great relationship, minding your business, and you could be the most private people. If you don't have any adversity, nobody challenges what you're doing, especially in the move of God, then it might not even be God. Because if your faith and your belief and your vision is never challenged, how do you know how strong you really are? Because we can be strong, we can have might, we can have great words, we can have encouragement, all of those things, but you don't really know what your most holy faith or what you are made of until it's tested. It's just like saying, it's plenty of companies out here that make water. What makes yours the best? Like, what makes yours stand out? When it's commonplace, I can see it everywhere. What's the difference between you and them? It's the same thing in your walk, in ministry, and in just a relationship. Sometimes things are gonna come along because, first of all, that's just a part of life cycle. That's in anything you do. Before we get all hyper over here, like, oh, the devil. Well, I mean, yeah, the devil, the adversary, is real. But we don't even care about the fact that he doing his job. We trying to figure out, how do you handle it when he do his job? How do you respond to it? How do you get through it? So we know about Nehemiah, what I spoke so far about his prayer life, his situation being solidified, his relationship, not situation, Lord help me, being solidified. So, and he got the strategy. We reviewed all of that. So now we get to chapter, I'm going to pick it up. This is chapter 4. So that's when we have Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem. And it's crazy how Tobiah he was a servant. He didn't even have any rank. I want to sit there for a second. Because you ever notice the person with the loudest mouth, with the most to say, never has any real authority. And the only power they really have is the attention you give them, if you give it to them. In any hierarchy of confusion, or if it's just a toxic environment, the most vocal person is often the person who has no authority at all. But it's what we could call maybe the flunky. You ever heard of a henchman? Like, why are you here? But their voice, and they're allowed to have liberties and do things, because for one, it's just entertainment. It's not till later in life that actual person finds out you were only as valuable as being my flunky. Like, I could have been ignorant, but it looks better on you. You see what I'm saying? So what we want to look at here with Nehemiah is the fact that when he came and the adversary came, when they first came taunting them, they were working and they were making their threats and saying whatever they said. And his response was so impressive because he looked up to God. He looked right up to God and said, you hear these people, they troubling us for what we doing for you. So in essence, what he was saying, they're not really coming against me. They're coming against you. You gonna let them talk to me like this, and I'm doing this for you. I'm obeying you, Father. What are you gonna do? It wasn't just those that came. Even it was a prophetess, Noadiah, when they tried to lure him. In that instance, he came. His response was, why should I stop what I'm doing to come talk to them? And they were trying to get him to come into the temple. Now, if you know the history of that, the old covenant, he had no business going to go have a conversation or anything. But they were telling him that that's where he could go to hide for his safety to get in there. But that would have been a direct violation of God's law, which they knew, which would have that would have been death, surely. So he didn't respond to them. And then he did not only not get in fear, he said, I'm at work, why should I stop? And then on top of that, when the man tried to press him, like, why would I move from what I'm doing? And who are you that I'm supposed to fear what you are saying and succumb to this type of evil? When he kept going on, and what he did was, in this prayer, he looked up to God and he said, remember, and he called everybody by name. Remember these people and what they tried to do to your servant, again, while I'm doing what you told me to do. I'm in obedience. You also will find, I want to say over in chapter 5, he also had to deal with his own people. You know how they say sometimes it's your own people. Well, he had to deal with that. And what they were doing was, he got them from up under Nehemiah at the time for this project. They get from up under the taskmasters, the hard taskmasters, who were like doubling what they were, their prices and what they would charge. So Nehemiah found out about it, like, so you know how they do those payday loans today? So basically, but what they were doing was giving these people, allowing people to get these loans or whatever, but making interest rates and things so high that what they ended up having to give up their daughters and land and animals, I believe. And that was the whole setup anyway, just to possess their land. So Nehemiah rebuked them. And then this is a real good nugget. When he found that out, he said, I consulted with myself. He didn't go to anybody he delegated or put in charge. I mean, I'm sorry, but that was so gangster to me. Like, said, so I had to talk to myself. Because after all, this is his ministry. This is his mission. This is his assignment. He didn't confer or anything. And also, he didn't say he got independent of God, but he trusted in the God that was in him enough. Like, so how am I going to approach this? Because, something's going to get done. It's just how. And he rebuked them. And then not only in that moment, what he did was something else that was so powerful. He didn't just rebuke them. He said, you have to remember, I'm the governor. Now imagine that. He found favor with the king. He's in bondage. He's a slave. He got favor with the king. He got the letters and things that he needed to get over the water. He had more than enough in the supplies of what he needed. And now, even in bondage, he has a leadership position, not just this mission, this work he has to do. He is an actual governor, which he actually was for 12 years. Because when the king asked him how long he was going to be gone, he didn't specify a time, but he had grace and favor. He literally was gone for 12 years while he delegated. And Ezra came in later and helped him. So, and I'm not going to take real long on this adversity and adversary type of deal, because at a certain point you have to, get a backbone. Because when somebody trying to tell you what to do in a wrong relationship, or when you spending your money wrong, or you want to party, or you want to travel, you want to keep up with a facade, or you want to do all of these different things. Can't nobody tell you anything. But then, a woman of God told me some years ago, it's amazing to me how when we get into Christ, how we was tough in the street and then we soft in the spirit. That's something to think about. So what the governor's fees was, as far as the animals and the different, what his dowry, if that's the correct word, was, he didn't even take it. He didn't take it because they were already oppressed, and he saw the plight of the people, how they were already struggling. Because even in his bondage and his struggle, he wasn't struggling like them. Even though he was in bondage sitting under the king, he ate good, he smelled good, he looked good, he dressed good, even in bondage. Understand that, because if he didn't, that's a reflection on the king. You can't have that. So even in that, he didn't get puffed up, he didn't get carried away. Again, that solid relationship and that grounding and the work and the training and the not murmuring and complaining and seeing God when he didn't see what God said kept him to be in a position to do this. And you know what he did after he got done dealing with the people, and at the end of all of this, he said, Father, remember me for all I have done for your people in obedience. That's what he said. And he didn't have long, drawn out moments of prayer. I'm not saying that it's not necessary, but I'm talking about when you are in the middle of something and the times, pay attention. That's alignment. To understand and know what's really going on, our surroundings, and the climate, meaning the spiritual climate of what we're actually in, what we are facing, what we're up against. Because the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And there's a lot of wheat from tares getting separated. And a lot of stuff is not standing because its foundation was never on God. You understand? Your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional and mental health are all important in this, in your walk and in the ministry and in the work that needs to be done in this earth. Remember that. So it's all type of distractions, all ways to get puffed up. If you're not dealing with your rejection and abandonment and abuse and anger and low self-esteem, self-pity, all these different things, if they're not dealt with, when God exalts you, this stuff will show up. And how many times have you seen people fall because they get puffed up? We've seen it in leaders today. We've seen it in the Bible. We've seen it in regular business. They were great and good people. But Whitney Houston said something that I really love. She said, fame does not turn people into monsters. It only brings out who they already were. So even in adversity, we come back to self-examination. And we want to get that together and keep that in mind. I'm intentionally not giving a long spiel about this because I just don't believe in giving a lot of glory where it's not due. And to tell you the truth, I'm a meat, not milk ministry, so I'm not gonna when it's a time, but that's not the time we in. We are all adults. I'm not gonna tell you that it's gonna be easy, because it's not. Jesus told you the truth. This a relationship you weren't tricked into. He literally said they will hate you because they hated me. But he said he'd be encouraged because I already have overcome the world. He never said it was going to be easy. He never said he was going to take away trials and tribulations. We think we're going to get on God and start riding clouds when we get in him. That's not the way that goes. So in adversity, we're paying attention to his responses, how he handled it, how he responded, and how he kept going. He was determined to get this done, even to the point where they held weapons in one hand and worked with another. And it was times they found different places to move him. And then also, because he didn't give too much time to that, every plot and plan that the enemy had when they were going to ambush him and different things of that nature, he was always made aware because he kept his focus and he stayed on task. So I want you to be encouraged in those areas. Serving God is much harder than worrying about an enemy. And that's where your focus should be. Because what you feed is what has the most life. Okay? Remember, it's okay to be a misfit. You are just the right fit for Jesus. Until we meet again, be blessed.